Here's what you'll need. I'm using pre-cut watercolor paper postcards. They're on heavy-duty 140-pound paper, and Bristol board would work also for this project. We have paint. I'm using purple, blue, magenta, pink, and white. You're also going to need a paintbrush. This is a flat brush. Do whatever works for you. And this is called frisket paper. Comes in an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and it's paper on one side so you can draw your design or trace. It's thin enough to see through so you can trace your design. It's like a solid sheet of clear tape. This is the one I was using yesterday. So it's sticky on one side and clear film on the other side. What you'll do is you'll peel the paper side off, and then you'll stick the film to your project. You can paint over it, and then when you remove it, you've got that area protected, and I'll show you how that works. You can order this from hobby shops or find it at your local hobby store. If you don't have access to this, you can use masking tape, and I'll show you how to do that too. You'll also need a heart to trace. These are cookie cutters, so something simple. This is a Valentine decoration, or you can do the old-fashioned just folding a piece of paper in half and cutting out a heart like you learned how to do in school. You'll also need something to mix your paint on. This is palette paper, and you'll also need something to cover and protect your work surface. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I've cut my frisket paper to the same size as my postcard, and I need to trace my cookie cutter. This frisket is that the paper side is really thin and the tape side is pretty thin, so it's hard to get them separated. So here's a trick for you. You're going to use some tape, and you'll just get 2 small pieces of tape, and you'll put one on the paper side, stick it down, and one on the film side. And try not to get the pieces of tape stuck together, so you want to angle them a little further apart. And this works better on like a corner type area than it would on a long edge. Okay, and then you're just going to take the pieces of tape, and it didn't work. Let's try it again. There we go. So now your paper pulls away from your sticky side. And then you're just gonna take the tape off of there. You're done with that, and you're gonna toss that. Now here's your heart, your clear heart. And this, you're gonna use this to mask off your area on your postcard. If you have something, a grid like this underneath, it's easier to get everything centered. If not, you can just eyeball it, or if you want to use a ruler, you can use a ruler. Okay, so now we've got this stuck down on our postcard. Now I can paint. I can put paint all over it without getting the center part covered in paint. All right, so let's try it. Now let's get our paints. I'm using an Opera Rose, which is a really bright pink color. This is Quinacridone Magenta, a little bit more violet, but still pink. Cerulean Blue, which is a nice light colored blue, blends well, and a violet color, any kind of purple will do. And I'm also going to use some white. Okay, I'm going to take some of this opera pink and just smear it right down here. Okay, I'm going to let this dry just a little bit before I take the masking film off of there. Now we're going to try this guy. Is still a little bit wet on some of the thicker spots, but it's dry enough to take this mask off. So I'm going to use my palette knife so that I can get under the film. And just peel that off. And I just got paint in there. So I'm going to let that dry. Maybe I can scrape it off of there, or I might be able to cover it up. Here's the masking tape one. This one you have to be a little bit more careful with since it's in sections. You don't want to undo the heart. Yeah, see, I'm gonna have to take it off from the top because I layered the masking tape on top of itself coming this way. That actually worked pretty well. Now we're gonna write a little message in the middle. I thought I'd try to do a little Valentine message, and I noticed that on some of mine the paint had gotten under the film and made a little bit of a mess along the edges. So I thought it might be fun to trace the outside edge of the heart in a metallic pen to kind of cover up the mess and just sort of give it a little pop. So before I do that though, I'm going to test and make sure which pen I want to use. This one actually works really well. It doesn't pool like the Posca pen sometimes will, and it gives a really shiny metallic finish. This one's ready to go. I'm just going to leave the inside blank so that someone can write their own message in the middle, or if they'd like to have me hand letter something, I could do that, or write somebody's name, you know, so-and-so plus so-and-so, something like that. So we're going to get it ready to be a postcard. So we're going to go on the back, and I'm just going to draw a line down the middle, but I'm not going to go from the top to the bottom, because on the top I'm going to write this little ribbon. And then you always want to make sure you sign your work. I have handy dandy little stamp here that I use for stuff that I'm going to be taking to markets. But if this is a gift and you're giving it away, or if you don't have a stamp, you can just sign your name. Hopefully I have that lined up okay. Came out all right. So now the person who ends up with this postcard has room for their address to send to someone and a little message. And there's your Valentine's Day postcard.